Hey there nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and welcome to the episode of Way of the Underhive. This series is dedicated to helping brand new players to Necromunda build their starting rosters and learn more about the game mechanics of their favorite gangs. And on today's episode, we'll discuss playing an Iron Guild gang for our narrative campaign, Necromunda Monopoly. We'll discuss what a narrative gang is, the reasons for playing a narrative gang, and provide a 2,400 credit starting roster for your first narrative campaign of Necromunda Monopoly. And as always, there will be timestamps in the description box down below so that way you can click and navigate to the part of the video that interests you the most. So what exactly is Necromunda Monopoly? Necromunda Monopoly is actually a homebrewed campaign that is set within the Underhive as well as the Ashways and Necromunda. The overall narrative is supposed to be that a new section of the Underhive has recently been discovered, so all 8 merchant guilds are sending their agents down into this new sector to claim territories, to harvest resources, and to exploit the region both economically as well as politically for their own personal gain. And if of course you want to see more about that campaign rule set, I do have this link to that video in my description box. I also have it on the rules written down in my blogger site, so if you want to get access to those rules, you can actually do that really easily. So the idea is supposed to be that the entire campaign is fought with merchant guild gangs, and so we're using the outcast gang rules in order to build this. At the same time, these are also narratively built gangs, which means that they were breaking some of the traditional rules associated with gang list building, like for example taking dramatis personae and including in your gangs, that sort of thing as well. We're also using Arathean Secession list building rules for this list, so that we have 2,000 credits to build your gangs, and then another 400 credits to get mounted fighters as well as vehicles. And once again, this is totally unofficial, so no way, shape, and form should you be using this for official tournaments or for anything like that, because these are all just home brewed ideas. The idea was to create something kind of fun and unique and to, spice up your campaigns in Necromunda and also bring us really interesting gangs. So now that we're talking about what exactly Necromunda Monopoly is, let's talk about it specifically about the Iron Guild. So why should you play the Iron Guild of Necromunda? For one very simple reason, because you like playing blood money mercenaries. That's exactly what it's all about for you, because only 2 things in Necromunda count, and that is creds and firepower. Usually they go hand in hand, so that's the reason why it works. You're here to win and to get paid at exactly the same time, and at the same time that's happening, this specific gang actually has the most dramatis personae of any gang in this campaign, and the reason why is because the Iron Guild does not actually have a delegation specific to it, so because I had to get really creative with the idea of how this gang is supposed to operate and what kind of people would actually be in an Iron Guild gang. So now that we're going to talk about exactly why you should be playing the Iron Guild, let's talk about exactly what narrative gaming is in terms of Necromunda. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about what is a narrative roster. A narrative roster is an idea I've been cooking up for a while, where it's basically a new way of playing. Necromunda is a wonderful game with all kinds of interesting stuff, with dramatis personae and special characters and skills, weapons and equipment, and all kinds of different things that makes this game such a fantastic skirmish game to play. The campaign setting is literally limitless, and the different opportunities that you can have to play. So my idea was, what if you took some of those narrative aspects of the Necromunda lore and applied them to list building for our gangs? Now, in a narrative list, you'll be using dramatis personae as leaders as well as champions in your gangs, so long as it kind of fits with the overall narrative of what your gang is. Same thing with having access to certain skills, weapons, and war gear that may not normally be allowed in your gang as well, and the reason why we're doing that to add to that narrative flavor. This also applies to brutes, hanger-ons, as well as hired guns, which are not normally allowed in a starting roster. So that's what the idea of this whole narrative roster is. We're taking the narrative elements of the Necromunda setting with a specific gang and applying it to that starting roster. Now, the whole reason why you might want to play a narrative gang is because it's a fun new way to spice up playing Necromunda. It could also be the basis of a brand new narrative campaign. A narrative campaign is this idea I've been cooking up in my head about actually having a campaign setting where there's an actual storyline for each of the different gangs. The gangs are out to seek certain kind of objectives in this campaign setting, and that's pretty much how it would work in that campaign setting. The gangs that achieve their objectives, narratively speaking, are the ones that end up winning the campaign. And the idea was a nice little way to explore some of the lore and the endless fluff that is usually associated with Necromunda. Like I said before, Necromunda has a very rich and in-depth campaign setting with different characters, houses, guilds, criminal organizations, different levels and different factions all vying for control of this crazy planet. So I thought it would be really a cool idea in order to create those kind of campaigns around those little pieces of lore and have games to reflect that and to do this. The idea of a narrative campaign as well as a narrative roster is that you kind of focus more on fluff and lore rather than competitive play, and I'm going to try to design the lists around that so that way your starting roster does reflect that for the specific game that you're playing. And obviously, the biggest question should be asked, why should you play in every game? And my only answer is with another question, why not? There's a lot of cool things you can do in Necromunda and a lot of cool topics you can explore as well. This is a good way for beginners to learn how to play a game as well, and it could also be great for experienced players too, just in case you're looking for some new and interesting way to do this. Not only that, it could also be fun being an arbitrator of a narrative campaign, because you got to create a narrative story, give different objectives for your gangs to try to accomplish, and earn points that way. It's also really fun for players to kind of build in backstory of why their gang is operating the way it is and how it's supposed to operate in the campaign setting, and it's a really cool idea as well. And I suggest giving it a try. I mean, why not? You could always see something new with this game system, and that's the wonderful thing about Necromunda. There's always new and cool ways of actually playing this game as well. I will give you a warning, however, no way in shape and form should you be using a narrative list like this if your arbitrator doesn't allow it for your campaign, just because I'm not following some of the official rules for the gang rule building rules that come with the game. And at the same time, these are also not really good for tournament play, but just keep that in mind as we go forward. Alright, so let's talk about Mercator, Munda, Mercenaries. That's the name of the delegation for this gang, and plus it just kind of sounds great with that alliteration on the name. And just like every single one of our narrative gangs that we've had for this campaign, they have their own special unique rules, so let's go out and talk about exactly what they can do. So first of all, let's talk about the Iron Guild equipment list. The gang will have access to Genestealer cult equipment lists for both fighters as well as vehicles, and the reason why is because the items that are available in the Genestealer cult very much matches the mining background narrative of the Iron Guild. There's a lot of things like power picks, for example, hazard suits, respirators, that kind of thing. It kind of matches up with the overall seismic cannons to like disrupt and mine through things. It sounds like something a lot of miners would actually have access to, and that's exactly what the Iron Guild's all about. Now, obviously, the only exception to this, of course, is that you will not have access to psychic familiars or cult icons, because the Iron Guild are not Genestealer cultists. Well, at least not yet anyways. So wink wink, nudge nudge. Now, one of the other special rules you have is guns, guns, guns. Now, usually this is a benefit you get from making an alliance with the Iron Guild, but I've modified it just a little bit, so that way you could use it for your campaign. And basically the rule states that you reduce the reality of all trading post ranged weapons by 2. In addition, the cost of trading post ranged weapons is reduced by D3 times 10 credit to a minimum of 5 credits. That way you get better access to better weaponry as well as better weapons for your gang as well. And that kind of makes sense because these guys are blood money mercenaries, so they're always going to be needing the best and brightest and shiniest weapons in order to do their jobs and to make a lot of money doing it. And once again, we also have the Wandering Hives, the Wandering Scum special rule as well. This is a benefit you get from the actual alliance with the Iron Guild, but I've adjusted for this gang, and this is what the rule states. It says, while the gang is allied with the Iron Guild, in the pre-battle sequence, the gang may attempt to add D3 plus 2 Hive Scum to the gang for the battle ahead. These fighters can increase a crew beyond a starting size, regardless of the scenario rules. And that's usually one of the only benefits you get from making an alliance with the Iron Guild. And I thought since these guys are blood money mercenaries anyways, that this would be a great way to do so. And now that we actually have these Wandering Scum, let me talk about some suggested Wandering Scum builds I would recommend for your gang if you're to use this rule. Alright, so we're going to talk about some of the suggested Wandering Scum builds that you might want to use for your gang. Type 1 I like to call the Long Range Support Fighter. This guy is armed with the last gun as well as a stub gun, dum-dum rounds for a backup weapon as well as for close combat. He's also packing photo goggles that we can see in all visibility conditions. Type 2 I call the Close Range Support. This guy's got a shotgun with solid scatter ammo as well as frag grenades, that way you can lob grenades and still have a shotgun to defend yourself. Type 3 I call the General Purpose build, which has basically an auto gun, a stub gun with dum-dum rounds for backup weapon as well as for close combat, as well as photo goggles that they can shoot between medium to close range. They can still run around, they can still see in the dark, so kind of like your all general purpose fighter. Then we have Type 4, which I call the Close Quarters Battle Fighter. That guy's got a stub gun as well as a chainsaw for close combat, as well as photo goggles that can see in all visibility conditions. And the 5th type I call the Stealth build, which basically consists of throwing knives, smoke grenades, so that way you can screen your movements, and photo goggles that we can see directly what's going on in the dark. If you wanted to, you could actually take one of each. That'd be a great way to do so, or mix and match however you need to achieve the objectives that you're trying to achieve in your campaign. Alright, so now that we're done talking about the gang special rule, let's talk about the Iron Guild starting roster for Necromunda Monopoly, rated at 2,400 credits. These guys will be known as Mercator, Munda, Mercenaries. So let's talk about the individual fighters that will make up your gang. First off, your gang leader. Your gang leader is going to be Bertram Arturos. It's going to cost 290 credits. This is the Dramatis Personae bounty hunter that's available from the Gang War book that came out a long time ago. He's one of the special character bounty hunters. He's going to be your outcast leader. He's going to have the Mastermind archetype because it matches with Bertram Arturos' personality, where he's basically kind of planning and scheming all the time. He automatically comes with light carapace armor for 4-up armor save, as well as an Artisan Needle pistol with an auto loader. We're also going to throw an infrasight on that, so that way you can see in all visibility conditions as well. He's also packing a stiletto knife for close close combat, so he's good for close quarters battle with his needle pistol as well as a steel knife. He automatically comes with the disarm, escape artist, as well as nerves of steel skills. This can make him very deadly, getting out of the way of getting attacked, also getting escape if he gets captured, taking out enemy primary weapons in close combat. If he gets hit and pinned, he can take a cool test to escape pinning, and we're giving the fixer skill on top of that. And the reason why is because this guy's all about generating money for himself, so earning D3 times 10 credits really builds up over time, and that's exactly what this guy is all about. Plus his stats are really solid as a combat fighter as well as a leader, so he makes the perfect outcast leader for this gang. And plus, narratively speaking, he's also a blood money mercenary who works for the guilds, so obviously he'll work for Mercator and Munda to get their objectives accomplished. And we have two more Dramatis Personae who will be the champions of your gang. First up is Vorgan Gunnar Mortz to cost you 305 credits. He's a Dramatis Personae Outcast champion. He's also a bounty hunter, but we're going to take away that bounty hunter role because we're using him as an Outcast champion. He's got the Survivor archetype. He's got flak armor as well as that unique weapon, the Assault Stubber, with standard as well as tracer ammo, so that we can do some really good shooting with that. He's also got a Servo Hunters that makes him stronger and tougher and able to shoot his Assault Stubber as a basic action. He automatically comes with the Marksman as well as regroup abilities as well, so that way he can make a little bit better with his shooting attacks. At the same time, also help rally soul fighters around him. And we're giving him the Nerves of Steel skill with the Survivor archetype because your opponents will be shooting at him quite a bit, so having passing a cool test to skip pinning is going to be vitally important for you. He's also got the unique partnership special, which allows him to recruit your second Dramatis Personae bounty hunter, who's going to be also your champion, which is Rex Spires, which is his partner. He's got 315 credits for this guy. Once again, another Dramatis Personae Outcast champion, one of the bounty hunters from the Book of the Peril. He's got the Mastermind archetype because it matches his background narrative. He's got flak armor for a 6 up armor save and a fighting knife, which is not that great, but he is packing blasting charges, demo charge, as well as frag and Melta booby traps. My suggestion to you though is to use Melta booby traps because Melta is the pwn. He automatically comes with the evade skill, so that way he's a little bit harder to hit. He's got the lie low skill, which is overall just mostly useless, but you know, he comes with that anyways. And we're also giving him the Overwatch skill with his Mastermind archetype because him interrupting enemy activations by throwing grenades and blasting charges at him, it's just too much fun to watch. At the same time, he's also got the Demolition specialist skill, so that way he can actually put D3 frag or Melta traps on the battlefield. And he's also got the unique partnership ability, which allows us to hire him alongside Vorgan Gunnar Mortz to be in the same gang together. You also got two more Outcast champions. Outcast champion both going to cost 240 credits. This guy's got the Gunslinger archetype. He's got a hazard suit, so that way he's immune to all the different Radphage and Blaze, as well as giving him a boost to gas and tox attacks. He's got a mining laser, so that way he can have some really good high strength attack with that. He's also got an auto pistol for a backup weapon as well as for close combat. He's got photo goggles to see in all visibility conditions, as well as a trick shot ability, so that way he can remove partial cover from his enemies when he's shooting them at distance. Outcast champion number 2 is going to cost 205 credits. This fire is also a Gunslinger archetype with a hazard suit. He's also packing a web gun as well because the web guns are pwn. He's also got an auto pistol for a backup weapon as well as for close combat, and he's got the hip shooting skill because being able to move up twice open firing with a web gun is going to be extremely valuable to you. Now usually when you use hoop shooting you do lose 1s1 to your ballista skill, but since he's using a web gun with a template weapon, it's really not going to matter all that much. Alright, so let's go and talk about your Outcast Hive Scum for this one. So Outcast Hive Scum number 1 is going to cost you 100 credits. This guy's got Hazard Suit, as well as a last gun and last pistol, as well as photo goggles, so pretty bare bones. My suggestion to you is to increase this guy's ability to be more lethal by getting some hot shot power packs as time goes on. Outcast Hive Scum number 2 is going to cost you 100 credits as well. He's got a Hazard Suit, as well as an auto gun, auto pistol, as well as photo goggles. My suggestion to you is to make this guy even deadlier by giving him some specialty ammo for both his auto gun as well as his auto pistol. And last we have Outcast Hive Scum number 3 is going to cost you 155 credits. This guy's got a Hazard Suit as well as an auto pistol and a power maul, so that way you can do really good close combat. But the real reason why you're taking this guy is because he has incendiary charges, that way you can lob those 5-inch blast templates of blazing. Since all of your fighters got hazard suits, it's not a real problem, so that way if anybody does get hit with it, the hazard suit will make them immune for the blaze trait. So this guy is one of your point man for your assault fire teams. And of course we got some more Outcast Hive Scum number 2. This guy's Outcast Hive Scum number 4. This guy's going to cost you 105 credits. He's got a hazard suit as well as an auto pistol as well as a shock whip, so that way he can do some close combat with his auto pistol. He's also packing frag grenades, so that way it makes him a little bit deadlier with that way you can blow out the frag grenades and blow up your opponents. Outcast Hive Scum number 5 costs 105 credits as well. He's got a hazard suit as well as a last pistol as well as a shock stave, so that way he can shoot as well as use that versatile trait for the shock stave. He's also packing frag grenades as well, so that way you can lob those at your enemies as well. My suggestion to you as your campaign develops is to buy photo goggles for all of your fighters who don't have them, so that way they can see in the dark in all visibility conditions. And last, we're going to have a Rogue Doc for 150 credits. He's got a last pistol, Medicaid kit, and Medicaid, and we're taking this guy because you do have some Dramatis Personae in this gang, so if they do suffer critical injuries, you really want that Rogue Doc to help them out. And lastly, you have a Scum Razor to cost you 430 credits. This guy's got photo goggles so he can see all visibility conditions. He's also driving a rock grinder, so that way you have weapon access to a weapon stash. So that way if you do run out of ammo for one of your weapons, you can go to the weapon stash and raid it and get that reroll. They got tire claws for better handling, nitro burn to add +1 to your movement allowance, and at the same time this guy's packing twin linked autocannons, which are the absolute pwn in terms of weapons for vehicles. So this gang is all about the firepower, always about bringing the rain, and that vehicle matches them perfectly to a T. As the campaign develops, of course, you can buy further upgrades for this vehicle, however, to match your playstyle. And that pretty much makes up the Mercator Munda Mercenaries for this list. So in conclusion, building a narrative list is a fun and unique idea to try out new lists, different dramatis personae that you might not usually have access to, as well as setting up new challenges for yourself, as well as for your campaign as well. And like I said before in the introduction, in no way is this official at all, so I wouldn't recommend you taking these to any kind of official tournaments or any organized tournament play as well. Same thing with your arbitrator. Also double check with your arbitrator, see if they'd be okay with you actually making a gang list like this. And ask your arbitrator if you would like to do a narrative style campaign. It could be something really cool. It could be something really cool to try out within your gaming groups and to try out new campaigns, so give it a try. And if you do decide to play this way, please let me know down the comments box down below. I'd love to hear some of the comments and feedback you guys have about using the different lists I create, as well as some future other campaign ideas that I have coming down the pike. And of course, I'll bring up more videos about this topic as time goes on. And as always, recommendations for any narrative list will be welcomed. I'm actually planning on making a narrative list for pretty much every single faction in Necromunda, so I do have my work cut out for me, and I'll be uploading those videos on a regular basis, so keep an eye out for that to make sure you catch up to learn the newest and latest narrative lists for whatever particular faction you would like to play. So that's good for this week, guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this video, guys. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.